All these shots that you're seeing are straight out of the DJI Osmo Pocket 3. And I love that I don't have to use my bigger Sony cameras to document life and still have great image quality. But to be truthful, these shots are not achieved with the Pocket 3 straight out of the box. I had some help. Look closer. Look closer. Look closer. A little closer. There's a filter. Whether you're a beginner or a seasoned shooter, at some point you've got to know about lens filters that'll not only add spice to your images, but will also give you a unique look to make you stand out and really own your own style. So in this video, we'll see how these filters actually help and if you really need them. And if you do, I'll point out which ones are right for you. As a disclosure, Freewell has sent me these to review, but they're not sponsoring this video. But thank you to those who continue to buy through my affiliate links, so I don't have to pick up overtime nurse shifts just to be able to make videos like this. Prior to Freewell reaching out, I did already invest in the DJI Osmo Pocket 3 Creator Combo, which includes the ultra-wide vlogging lens. In addition to that, I also invested in their Black Pro Mist lens, or lens filter, which would give me a unique blooming, as they call it, in the brighter parts of my image, which probably is the least used lens filter that I use. Now, if you're not familiar with lens filters, know that these filters are not the same kind as the filters that one would apply to photos and videos on Instagram. These kinds of filters are not going to give you a sepia filter or a vivid color filter look. These are the filters that take out glare, that stretch your image, that even give you macro capabilities. There are also filters that darken your image for things like long exposure photography, or just to follow the 180-degree rule for filmmakers and videographers. Some filters are best for video, and then there are many of them that are good for both photo and video. We can go on and on. So I have two sets of filters from Freewell. The first set is their 14 pack here that includes ND filters, 2-in-1 ND filters that also have a circular polarizer. And then the second set has 6 filters, which 3 of them are ND filters, and then there is a macro lens, ultra wide lens, and anamorphic lens. Now that's a mouthful, and if this is all new to you, don't worry, I'll just briefly explain it. We got here ND filters, which are neutral density filters, are commonly known as the sunglasses of your lenses. These make your images darker so that we can maintain a slower shutter speed. For filmmakers and videographers who want to maintain shutter speeds of 1/50 or 1/120, use these ND filters to be able to maintain that motion blur, maintain that look, and still be able to do it without their image looking so bright. In the 14th set of filters here, Freewell has included 7 strengths of ND. The higher the number, which is right here, ND 1000, the darker that the image will be. And of course, the opposite is true. And we have ND 8, which will be the least darkest filter that you can put on your DJI Osmo Pocket 3. For photographers, these would be great for long exposure photography, so that you can really dial in that right exposure for the brightest of conditions. For example, if you want to go ahead and make the water from a waterfall or a river look super smooth and nice and glassy looking, you can slow down your shutter speed to, well, this can slow it down to 1 second. And once you bring it down to 1 second, you stick one of these on, make sure it looks nice and good, hit the shutter, and voila. If you're wondering if you can stack these filters, that's gonna be a yes, but for the 6 filter kit. One of the combinations that we can use of filters is the wide angle filter and the macro filter, and these together form their ultra wide lens. Yeah, it kind of sounds like a Megazord or something. DJI's version of this ultra wide lens for vlogging is a single lens versus Freewell having 2-in-1. If you want to use the Freewell ultra wide filter by itself, then things will be out of focus. So it's a necessity to use the macro lens. The other combinations involve using the ND filters on the bottom, and you can stack any of these 3 on top of the macro, the combination of the ultra wide lens, or the anamorphic lens. Unfortunately, you can't use any filters from the 14th set over here because things will just be shifted to the side. One thing that is unique about the 14 lens filter set is that they have circular polarizers combined with the ND filters. you'll find that the blue in the sky is deeper, or the ripples in the water is less shiny, and you get a much cleaner and contrasty look. How do these filters perform though? Starting with the 14 filter set, these are very helpful when it comes to dialing the exact, or at least close to the exact strength of ND that you need from ND8 to ND1000. ND1000 for me is pretty overkill, but if you do a lot of landscapes and take a lot of photos in the sun, then this is great for you. With this camera, you can set your shutter speed to be as slow as 1 full second and use as much ND as you need. I personally don't do these kinds of photos often, but with a circular polarizer, you could even remove the glare as well. After a while of using these kinds of lens filters, you'll start to appreciate these tools the moment that you forget to bring them with you. If you're interested in getting more nostalgic and more of a filmic look, you can slap on the Black Pro Mist filter, which is a quarter strength. And if you've never bought a Black Pro Mist filter before, they usually come in strengths of 1/8, 1/4, and 1/2. I think 1/4 is just right to really see a difference between your images. Just shoot with some backlighting or even just have some practical lights in the background and you'll easily see the blooming in your highlights or the bright parts of your images. We got this unique filter here. It's called the LPR filter, or Light Pollution Reduction filter, and it's a lens that you would often use when shooting nighttime photos, especially for landscapes. So normally when you're shooting near the city or whatever town with their lights on, you normally see light pollution with all the yellows and the oranges. And when you tack this thing on, you should have better and clearer skies. Theoretically anyway. So if you think that 14 filters is plenty enough for you, you probably want to wait on that because these 6 filters really might be the lightest package that you actually need. Because one of the first lenses that we got here is the macro filter. You stick this filter right in your lens and everything will be blown up huge, like a huge magnifying glass. And then you'll now be able to see all the small details around you. Plants, bugs, and all the fine textures of the world. And you'll notice that as you're getting this kind of point of view, you're almost touching the objects with your lens. So you probably won't be able to capture many bugs without them flying away. For the best results, you want to shoot still life and to mount your Pocket 3 on a tripod like the Mantis Pod by PGY Tech, just to minimize this jarring effect if you're going to go handheld. Now, because it doesn't function separately, we also have this wide angle adapter that will stack right on top of the macro lens, which will normally be out of focus. This wide angle lens cannot function without the macro lens attached. So when you go ahead and do attach it, this will work in a way where you can get some more room in the shot, which will be perfect when you're showing off the landscape or making the world much bigger than us, or simply trying to fit an extra person in the shot right next to you. Kind of chunky, but hey, it works. If you're trying to make your footage look more cinematic with those black bars on the top and bottom, well, Freewell made us a anamorphic lens just for us. If you've never used the anamorphic lens before, just know that the black bars are not captured in the camera, but are made while editing, specifically by the process of de-squeezing. I edit through DaVinci Resolve, where this can be done for us through the clip attributes option when you right click on your clips. I was able to exaggerate some of the de-squeezing by going to 1.25, although this is only a 1.1 just because of the physical limitations of not overstressing the motor. And note that if you're going to use this particular lens, you have to de-squeeze it, otherwise it'll look a little weird because it's really squeezing your footage to help maximize your image when you de-squeeze it. Anyway, you let me know when you try it. But anyway, even without DaVinci Resolve, you could also do the math and play with the scaling in your software's inspector tab. But that'll have to be for another video. For the last 3 filters, as you know, whether or not you want to actually stack them on top of the filters on the top row, you could also just simply attach any one of these to your lens at any point in any fashion. It'll work just like these right here. Doesn't need a second lens to pair up with. In terms of accessories for the DJI Osmo Pocket 3 and having lens filters, Freewell is ahead of the game when it comes to bringing quality filters and supporting this at the same time. These lenses are magnetized and fit well and flush against the lens of the DJI Osmo Pocket 3 from edge to edge, It's not super bulky and they're easy to use. As much as I do enjoy these filters, one of the biggest pet peeves, or at least disadvantages of these, is that they're just too small sometimes. And it's hard to remove from either here or from the lens itself. And because it's so small, one of the biggest downsides is that because you're trying to overcompensate with the edges, you end up sometimes just smudging your glass. So do make sure that you carry a microfiber cloth with you. Also, do note that when you try to switch out your filters, try not to switch them in a place where you can easily drop them and lose them. Like, let's say, tall grass or the boardwalk or even your backyard deck. So how much is the investment for these filters? Well, for the 14 filter pack, it's going to be $149.99 US dollars. And for the 6 pack, it's going to be $129.99 US dollars. Of course, there will be alternatives online, and I can't speak for those that I haven't used, but at least for the Freewell ones that I have tested, they are the quality that we seek for. If you're trying to decide which one is really good for you, if you don't prioritize polarizer filters, then the 6 pack would be fitting for you. You got 3 ND filters here, and you got more creative possibilities for you with the anamorphic, ultra wide, and macro lenses. But if you're really interested in things like landscape, long exposure photography, and need the different strengths of ND, then yes, the 14 filters will be better for you. You'll benefit from this kit, especially when it has the 2-in-1 ND polarizer filters that'll take out the glares and give you more contrast and clarity in your photos straight out of camera. When you're shooting at the brightest times of the day, this kit will save you. I believe many consumers who bought the DJI Osmo Pocket 3 will be happy with the creator combo. Just don't be like me and get the black Pro Mist filter separately. And if you plan to, put that $49 towards getting one of these filter kits instead. If you anticipate on buying a new mirrorless camera, should you still consider picking these filters up? Yeah. These filters will be more affordable and give you more versatility than buying these same kinds of filters for one camera lens. I mean, if you're buying a zoom lens, then yes, it'll probably equal out. But if you're only getting a prime lens or a lens that doesn't zoom, then yes, you should lean more towards these. You see, while using these lenses for your Pocket 3, you'll also be getting the practice of what filters look good for you and what you actually need it for, especially when you're not always using the same filters every single time. And by the time that you actually want to buy more filters for your better DSLR or mirrorless camera, at least you'll be in practice of, oh, I want this filter. No, I really need this filter instead because I like taking landscapes, or I want to get this anamorphic look, or vice versa, whichever. I wouldn't say that you would graduate from these, but these would help you learn about your shooting style, which you can go ahead and test out with your Pocket 3. And you can use it as your secondary camera alongside your mirrorless or DSLR camera and really get a matching look using filters. Both of these cameras are able to use lens filters, and they're better for it. Sometimes what makes your image better is not the thousands that you spend on the glass, but the different perspective that you can provide with the quality filters that you stick in front of them. Although these Freewell lens filters will take some getting used to, just like anything, once you get into the routine, you'll be happy that you got one of these for one of 2024's best cameras. But hey, even without these filters, if you really want your footage to look pro, the secret really is in the movement. And I created that ultimate guide to show you right over here.